Hello, and welcome everyone to the second part in our leveling series. On the first part, we talked about leveling all of your battle jobs like tanks, healers, DPS, and on this one, we're going to be covering how to level the three gatherers in the game: Miner, Botanist, and Fisher. So on the first part of this video, we're going to tackle how all of the different XP bonuses function with gatherers. And once we have all of the XP bonuses done, as well as the prerequisites that you'll need, we'll then move on to botany and mining specifically, because they're pretty much the same thing with just a different coat of paint. And then we'll finish up by talking about Fisher, which is pretty unique. Regarding XP bonuses, first we're going to talk about food. Just like the battle jobs, using any food will give you a 3% increase in your experience gains. I recommend having food on at all times. Road to 80 plays another role here. It does work for your gatherers, so if you're in a preferred world that doesn't have that high of a population, I think Dynamis, every single one counts for this. There might be some spare servers on Europe as well. I'm not sure of the other North American ones, but Road to 80 does indeed work. So if you have one of those characters that has that buff, feel free to make use of it for a whopping 100% bonus XP. Rested XP is once again a factor here, being a 50% bonus experience while gathering. You accumulate Rested XP while sitting in a sanctuary, so a city like Ul'dah, Limsa, Gridania, and it takes a total of 7 days for your Rested XP to accumulate. And just know that if you only, rest for like a night or a day or two, you still will get, proportion-wise, that much amount of Rested XP. The arguably most important form of XP bonus comes from survival manuals. The two forms of survival manuals we'll talk about are one from your Grand Company, which you can purchase from any of your Grand Company vendors. It's worth noting that there are two different options here. Both of them give you a 150% bonus experience while gathering. But the difference is one of them runs out sooner. Once you accumulate a certain amount of experience, it will turn off. So you'll need to manually keep using them. So buy a bunch of them while you're here. Like I said, probably the most important thing as far as XP bonuses is concerned, do not skip this. If you have white scripts, which can be obtained quite easily through either collectibles or ocean fishing, we'll talk about both of those. White scripts give you access to an even more powerful manual. The XP rate is the same with 150% bonus XP, but the duration in which it lasts on you is a much higher sum of experience points, meaning that you're not constantly having to repop them as often at the higher levels. Once you're like 60 plus, I highly recommend switching over to these, but if you have a high abundance of Grand Company seals and you only want to use those, it's fine, but just know that you're going to be repopping them a lot. Another form of experience that you can gain from gathering is from the squadron missions. You'll get a 20% bonus that lasts for 2 hours. Just wanted to jump in here really quick. This is post-editing, Ahri, and letting you guys know that every single time I say firmament, I say firmament, and I have been saying that my entire life, and I'm going to continue saying firmament, but just figured I'd give you a heads up, it's coming. Enjoy the rest of the video. With XP bonuses out of the way, we're going to talk about the requirements that you'll need to use these methods. The first of which being that you're going to want to be at level 60 on a combat job, particularly in the MSQ. You need to be up to the point of Litany of Peace, which is a Heavensward post-MSQ quest, and that's going to unlock the firmament for us later. We'll cover the firmament later, but I figured I'd just mention that you want to be caught up on MSQ through Heavensward, ideally a little bit further, but have that done. The next requirement is in your Grand Company, ideally you want to be at least a private first class. This will let you purchase the company issue manuals, and you can honestly just use these lower manuals if you'd like the entire time. You'll just be popping them over and over again because they run out. If you want the better one, you'll want to be a Sergeant First Class, which will give you the company issue survival manual 2. First things first, let's talk about where we unlock each of these gathering jobs. For Botanist, we are going to head over to New Gridania, and there is an aetheryte associated with the Botany Guild. For Miner, we go to Ul'dah. Same thing, there's going to be a aetheryte associated with the Miners Guild. And then finally, Limsa for our Fisher, where we can get that unlocked. We're going to have to get 10 levels before we're able to go into the Firmament, and the Firmament is where we're going to be doing most of our leveling. But for starters, based on whichever gatherer you picked, you're just going to want to talk to the NPC. He's going to prompt you with a quest, and you're going to go complete that quest. He'll tell you to just go gather, 20 rocks or something. If you activate your manuals that we talked about, activate your food buff, you can remain in the location that you did the quest, gather a few extra rocks, and you'll be level 10 in a matter of minutes. So nothing big to overthink here. We want to ding level 10 and then pause this quest line and make our way over to the Firmament. Once our Botanist and Miner are level 10, we'll make our way over to Foundation and grab the Firmament quest that will be available to us as long as we've done our Heavensward MSQ. Once you have the Firmament unlocked, there are two ways of getting there. The easiest way to get there is to use this aetheryte, and there's going to be an option to just travel right there. You can also travel there on foot by speaking to the NPC over there. Right. Once you are in the Firmament, it is worth mentioning that there is a summoning bell over here if you need to access your retainers, but we are going to switch over to our gathering job of choice and specifically speak to the mission commander and press travel to the diadem. Once you load in, whether you're on Botanist or Miner, doesn't matter. You'll want to walk over or use your mount to go onto one of these whirlwinds. This is going to take you down to one of the islands, and you will learn how repetitive a diadem can be. What'll happen is 2 nodes are going to spawn in succession. As long as you keep gathering a node, a new one will appear. When you're here for the first time, you'll be at level 10, and you'll want to activate your manuals, food buff, and any other thing that you brought with, and start gathering the level 10 deposits here. As you finish a node, a new one will spawn, so you want to keep an eye on the map, and you'll continuously run in a big circle until you eventually make your way back to the start. It is worth mentioning that when you're leveling with those Grand Company manuals, they will expire very quickly because you're getting so much experience. You'll need to keep an eye on your buff bar and make sure you're reapplying them whenever necessary. In the top left, you'll notice that there is a compressed aether that looks kind of like a limit break meter. What that is a little rifle that your character will pull out, and you can use it to eliminate some of the enemies that you've been hiding from within here. If you do this, you will actually gain a whole bunch of materials that you can then keep for yourself and use for your crafting stages. Once you're all done with a gathering session, do not forget to do this. These items that you gathered are completely useless until you talk to the NPC right next to Arvale. Make sure you're on the correct gatherer here in the top left. So since we did a miner, we are going to press auto submit, and it's going to take those items within my inventory. And then we are going to press request inspection. And what that's going to do is it's going to take all of those items that you gathered and make them tradable. And you can now craft with them. So basically, like, I don't know how to put it, but it confirms your items essentially. So now they're good to be used for crafting. So the reason why we are going with this method in particular is because it's not particularly slow. If you use your manuals, this is a pretty solid method. But when we make episode 3, which has our crafting guide, we'll be using a lot of these materials as well. And you're going to be thanking yourself for preparing in advance and saving yourself some money. If inventory space is an issue and you don't need to level your crafters, feel free to sell all of this stuff and just get rid of it. Level 60 is going to be a pretty important milestone to hit, as since we've been doing the diadem gathering, we are going to have the option to get the level 60 materials. Although there's a couple problems that we're going to quickly address while also preparing for the future. The level 60 gathering is going to be a bit too intense because we haven't put on any gear on, right? So first we have to tackle gearing, but more importantly, we are going to talk about what white scripts are, how they function, and how to get them. First, white scripts are essentially like tomestones of poetics, I guess, but for gatherers and crafters. At level 60 on your gatherer, you're going to unlock a quest called Arms Wide Open. I'm going to include a link to the wiki in the description so you guys can navigate it if you'd like, but it is a quest chain that leads up to that quest, and what it's going to do is allow us to unlock our first custom delivery. Custom deliveries are extremely important because they give us access to white scripts in a very, very approachable and pretty chill way. You can only do 6 of them a week per custom delivery NPC, and you can only do a total of 2 NPCs a week. So what that means is we'll have 12 turn-ins essentially. But luckily, 1 week's worth is exactly what we need. So first we will get Zoloe unlocked upon completing that quest, and then once you hit level 66 on your gatherer, you will be able to unlock a second custom delivery NPC just adjacent to her. So don't worry, for starters, we can just do the Zoloe turn-ins when we ding 60, and by the time we need any more scripts, we'll be 66 in no time, and we can get a second round right from this guy. Custom deliveries are pretty chill. All you need to do is check which item that she is telling us to go gather. In this case, we need to go collect rainbow pigments, and so we can go see where those are. And we are going to the Annex Shrine teleporter. So let's go over there really quick and see what gathering these is like. So quick collectibles footage here. I figured I'd mention that we are indeed doing a collectible for Zoloe. I ended up re-recording this because I didn't like how I did it the first time. But we'll be getting the Duskfall Moss, which is for our Botanist. And when you're collecting a collectible, you'll notice this little box icon next to the item. Once you press it, a new interface is going to pop up. Normally this would be 5 out of 5 or 4 out of 4. I'm missing one because I grabbed a map while I was here. The main thing we want to take note of here is that the scrutiny button is going to empower our Scour or Meticulous Prospector buttons here. Meticulous Prospector can give you a bonus and count as, it doesn't count as a swing sometimes, and the probability of that happening will be listed right here. So there's a 25% chance that this does not count. In most cases it will count like it did here. So what we could do is we could do 2 scrutinies, see if that gets it up to max collectability. It does. Once it's maxed out in collectability, you will hit the collect button, and this will give you a maximum collectability item that we can then go bring back to Zoloe. In the events that you can only get 1 max collectability per node, don't worry. The nodes spawn an infinite amount, so you can take your time, get 1 per node if you need to, but it is worth mentioning that you want to try and get maximum collectability on every single one for your turn-ins, or you're going to lose scripts if you don't do that. So my usual rotation that I do if you have low GP is to do a scrutiny on a Scour. And then from here you have a few options. You can either do 2 meticulous and then collect, or you can do 2 Scours and collect. And that'll give us a maximum collectability. Once you're done with your custom deliveries, you can head over to the script exchange and pick up a set of 60 gear, which you can then use to continue on in the diadem. If you'd rather save your scripts, I'm going to show you the vendor that you can go to. This is my preferred method. I prefer using Gil because Gil is a much more versatile currency, whereas you kind of have to go off the beaten path for scripts. So we're going to go to Foundation now, and I'm going to show you what I prefer to do, which is just spend some Gil. Once you're here, you're going to go to the main Aetheryte, Jeweled Crozier, and then there are two different NPCs that we need to talk to. The first of which is just going to be a jeweler. He's going to offer us our right side. The right side only really functions as a means for us to get GP. GP is like your mana as a crafter or gatherer. And then the other NPC that we need to talk to is right here, and he's going to give us our armor. I personally recommend doing this instead, as opposed to the scripts. You're going to want to make sure you pick the one that says Perception or Gathering. Control is actually crafter gear. We don't want to touch that yet. But we're looking for, where is it? Yeah, Gathering and Perception. This is what you'd want to buy. So this is what I recommend. If you want to use the scripts, go ahead, since we did cover that. But that level 60 gear should hold you over all the way until 80, actually. So feel free to use the 60 gear and then continue diadem farming with that new gathering option until we ding 80. Once you hit level 80 in the diadem, the XP gains that you get will start to slow down pretty dramatically. So first what we want to do is head over to Sharlayan and go to the Studium. There is going to be some quest lines here for you as a botanist or miner, and even fisher. They have their own quest line as well. Once you come here, you will notice that there are some quest chains available. So I have not done the fishing one yet on this character. So if I talk to this NPC, you are going to get extremely high amounts of experience as well as scripts when you do these quest lines. So I recommend doing these quest lines as you're leveling through the 80s. You'll thank yourself for it. Now that the diadem is a bit too slow on experience, the next thing that we can do in addition to our Studium quests is go to the collectible appraiser here. Now he's going to have a whole assortment of options for us, but at the end of the day, all this boils down to is them giving us various collectibles to go gather across the world. These are just like the custom deliveries, except you're going to be getting a bit less white scripts compared to those turn-ins since they're weekly gated, but the XP gains are going to be extremely potent. So realistically, all you have to do, as soon as you ding 80, 81, get some level 80 script or vendor gear once again, and then come bang out these collectibles, and then as you hit certain levels, you'll be able to continue that quest line we talked about in the Studium, and this should be completely painless. You'll hit 90 in like an hour or two. So collectibles is the way to go once you hit 80. All right, we're back at the collectible appraiser, and so what I've done here is I've intentionally made one a bit lower on collectability to show that it falls under the middle threshold. You'll notice that I'm getting far less experience for not doing maximum collectability. So it's important that when you're trying to get XP, you always max it out and favor getting one big one over 2 or 3 smaller ones. So as we hand those in, we are going to be given our white scripts. And as I said, white scripts are going to be fantastic for purchasing stronger gear, cordials, or other items that you might need. Alright, now that we are done with Botanist and Miner, it's time to move on to Fisher. Like mentioned before, Fisher can be unlocked in Limsa, and you'll want to make sure that you complete the side quest called All the Fish in the Sea. It's worth mentioning that in order to actually get this side quest, you're going to need to complete a quest called My First Fishing Rod. That's just the first couple of job quests here. The fish that you have to catch are actually like right here, so you don't have to do anything special, and you'll also get your first few levels from that. The whole point of doing these quests is to unlock a system called ocean fishing. Once we have ocean fishing unlocked, again, like Miner and Botanist, you don't have to worry about gear at all. You can come in here with nothing but rags, but what you'll want to make sure you do have is some gil. Not much, maybe like 1,000 or 2,000 gil, because you're going to have to talk to this vendor. There is also a vendor on the boat itself if needed, and you're going to want to purchase some of these baits, particularly ragworm, krill, or plumpworm. I usually buy 99 of each. They're very cheap. So again, like 800 gil for getting 99 of each. Once you are on the boats, they spawn every 2 hours, real life time. You'll want to make sure that you use this website that I'm going to put in the description. This is the website in question, and I figured I would do a quick rundown on how to interpret some of this information. First and foremost, each ocean voyage has 3 stops, and you can use this tab right here to navigate between them. On each stop, you're going to want to check the spectral. And the significance of checking the spectrals is you have a small chance of activating what is called a spectral current whenever you are ocean fishing. It's like a bonus round that makes you catch fish super fast, and each fish that you catch is going to give you a ton of extra experience. So on the first stop, we would go for spectral butterfly, which is ragworm. Second stop, we would stay on ragworm for spectral SIBO. And third stop, we would go with krill for spectral eel. Another thing you can use this website for is once you are within a spectral current, you can check which fish have the highest points. Like quartz hammerhead here gives 460, so we'd want to use plump worm, and we would try to catch as many of these as possible when the spectral is popped. When you're on an ocean fishing voyage, like I said before, your gear and stats do not matter. Another thing is that whenever you catch a fish for the first time, you will get a huge experience bonus. Your manuals will be popping like wild while you're here, so you'll need to manually keep activating them over and over again, as the experience drops from ocean fishing will be efficient all the way to 90. Another thing I wanted to point out for fishers, when you're doing your ocean fishing runs, at level 15, you're going to unlock an ability called Patience. Patience is nice because there is a pretty decent chance that you'll start catching large fish, which give you an experience bonus, even if the fish itself is pretty insignificant. It's worth mentioning, though, that whenever you have Patience activated, you'll need to use Powerful Hook Set if there is 2 exclamation points or 3 exclamation points, and you'll need to use the Precision Hook Set if there is a singular exclamation point. Technically, there's some nuance with this based on a fish's size, but don't worry about it. In general, 2 exclamation points or 3, it means powerful, 1 exclamation point is precision. Ocean fishing is a solid means to acquire white scripts, especially if you do the voyage missions, which will appear on your screen. They'll oftentimes be like catch fish of a certain size, catch fish of a certain criteria, and you can use the website Lulu's Tools to find this information as well. Power leveling all the way to 90 with ocean fishing is what I personally recommend all new fishers do, because it's both fun and honestly really time efficient. It doesn't take long at all. You just got to keep popping those gathering manuals and you'll be 90 in no time. I figured I would mention another method once you hit level 71 that is technically faster, but I don't really recommend this. But for people that just want to get it done ASAP, let's talk about a method that's technically faster. In the event you really don't like fishing, at level 71 onward, it becomes pretty efficient to go to the Crystarium, and you can actually pre-purchase all of the fish for leave quests if you want to. You'll be 90 very quickly if you do Crystarium leaves from 70 to 80, and Charlian leaves from 80 to 90. You can just pick whichever one, and buy the fish on the market board and just turn them in at light speed if you really want. I personally don't recommend this, but for people that would rather just throw some gill at it and then go from 70 to 90 just like that, the option is there. I recommend just doing the ocean fishing though, as the white scripts are pretty valuable, and like I said, I personally enjoy it, but I figured I would be transparent that this method does indeed exist. You would just keep buying fish right off the market board and never even use it. You'd never actually have to go get them yourself. You could just buy them. So if that's your method, feel free. Okay, let's do a quick recap of all of our gatherers. For our Miner and Botanist, we are going to do the intro quest and stay however long we need at that first node to get level 10. We'll make our way over to the Firmament and get level 60. At this point, we will make sure we get new gear via white scripts or gil from the vendors and Foundation, and then go right back into the Diadem for 60 to 80 gathering. At this point, we'll start our Studium quests in Sharlayan and do our Rods at Hunt collectibles all the way to 90. Make sure you have your manuals activated. And for fishing, we're going to do the intro quest in Limsa, and then begin ocean fishing. Then we're going to do some more ocean fishing, and then at the very end, we want to make sure that we also do some ocean fishing. And with that, that should just about do it, guys. You should be level 90 on all 3 of your gatherers and ready for DAWNTRAIL. In the events that you happen upon this guide after DAWNTRAIL, all of these methods will still be viable for getting level 90, and I suspect that level 91 through 100 will be a new quest line, just like we had the Studium, and doing our collectibles once again. As for me, I'll be doing ocean fishing for levels 91 through 100, but we'll see when the time comes. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Next time, we'll be tackling how to level all 8 of your crafters together in a relatively painless method. If you are interested in getting your crafters to 90, I highly recommend you do the diadem method that we discussed, as a lot of those materials that we gathered will be coming clutch. So thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. We stream full-time on Twitch as well as YouTube, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern for 10 hours. So hopefully see you guys there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time for the crafter video. Peace.